Hey boys and girls, it's Mrs. Petrick here, back again to do a fun and themed countdown to first grade activity video with you. Today is all about bubbles. We are going to be reading books about bubbles, we are going to be watching videos about bubbles, and hopefully we're going to be blowing bubbles with gum and blowing bubbles with soap. Let's go. All right, so the first thing that we are going to do today is we are going to watch a video together all about bubbles and the science of them. So
today at the fort, we're blowing bubbles. This is an official summer fun alert. If you've had the chance to blow bubbles at school or in your backyard, then you know that it can be really fun to make them and to pop them. And they're also a pretty cool way to learn some science. First, let's practice blowing bubbles. To blow bubbles, you need two things: bubble liquid, which is mostly made of soap and water, and the stick you blow the bubbles out of, which is called the wand. I'll dip my wand into the bubble liquid and blow, but not too hard. If I blow too hard, then I'll blow the liquid right out of the wand. So I need to blow a steady stream of air through the bubble liquid, nice and slow. And I get a bunch of bubbles. Bubbles are just a really thin layer of soap and water around a pocket of air. If we could cut a bubble in half and look at it really closely, we would see that the bubble is actually made up of layers. There's a layer of water between two layers of soap. It kind of looks like a sandwich. The soap layers are like the bread of a sandwich, and the water is like the sandwich filling. The layers of the bubble surround the air inside the bubble and keep it inside. Water without soap doesn't make bubbles very well because water likes to stick together. Water's made up of lots of little tiny pieces or particles, so small that you can't even see them, but they're there. These particles are attracted to each other, meaning that they're pulling towards each other like magnets.
all right, and we are not going to watch the whole thing, but I will link it down below if you want to watch the rest of it. She gets into really cool about how bubbles are made and what will happen if you try to blow bubbles out of a wand that's a different shape other than a circle. So if you are interested, click down below and let mom and dad show you the whole video. But what fun is it to just watch somebody else blow bubbles? We need to get out there and blow some bubbles of our own. So let's go. There are lots of fun ways to blow bubbles. Here's one. Oh yeah.
Soapy.
That was one kind of bubbles. Now let's hear about the second kind of bubbles by sharing a story together. So I am going to read you guys a story that is called Bubble Trouble. And this is on Epic, which if you haven't used Epic, you can use it on a desktop or on your iPads from 8:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. for free. And if you need your teacher's login, or if you're a kindergarten student in my class, I posted the information for your accounts on Class Dojo. But we are going to read Bubble Trouble, and it's by Nat Gabriel, illustrated by John Nez. Please, Jane, I begged, can I be in your club? Sorry, Grace, my big sister said. You know the rule. You have to be able to blow a bubble. But I can't, I said. Watch me, said Jane. Jane put a piece of bubble gum in her mouth and she chewed and chewed and chewed. Then she pinched it up in her mouth and blew a perfect pink bubble. I tried, but the only thing that came out of my mouth was air and a spitty sound. I'll never be able to do it, I said. Sorry, said Jane, but that's the rule. Down here it says, what's in a bubble? If you guessed air, you are right. The air is held in by a skin. The skin of a bubble is a very thin one. That's the reason why bubbles pop so easily. At the top, it says, what's air? Air is gas. Gases do not have their own shapes. They spread out and fill whatever is holding them. They take its shape. You can't see air, but you can feel it. Bubbles, bubbles. There must be something in this book about bubbles, I thought. There was, but it didn't help much. I looked at the fishbowl. Fred was blowing bubbles, and it gave me an idea. All I needed was a bowl of water and a straw. I blew some practice bubbles. Then I said, thanks, Fred, and went to find Jane. Who's Fred? Fred's her pet fish, you're right. Look, Jane, I said, I'm blowing bubbles. Now can I be in your club? Our club has rules, Grace, she said. I thought there was only one rule, that you had to be able to blow a bubble. We have other rules too, said Jane. Jane pointed to a list. It said the bubbles had to be big and pink and last a long time. Your bubbles are little. You can see right through them, and they don't last, Jane said. Who made all these rules? I asked. I did, said Jane. Oh, these are the rules for the Bubble Club. How about a rule that says big sisters have to let little sisters in the club? I said. Jane put 2 pieces of gum in her mouth. She blew an even bigger bubble than before. Just keep trying, Grace, she said. Jane and I had to go in for lunch. By now, I had bubbles on the brain. So just for fun, I tried blowing bubbles in my milk. Look, Jane, I said, these bubbles last. Yes, but they don't last long enough, said Jane's. Besides, I know, they're not pink. And down here it says milk bubbles last longer than water bubbles because milk is stickier than water. You can try blowing bubbles in water and milk to see the difference. Suddenly, I remembered something. I ran upstairs to find a bag of party favors I'd saved. I pulled out a bottle of bubble mix, dipped the wand in, and blew. Beautiful little bubbles floated through the air. Now can I be in your club? I asked Jane. Look how long my bubbles last. Those bubbles are too small, said Jane. You know the rules. If you want bubble mix bubbles to last longer, make them in the shade. Keeping your bubble wand really wet helps the bubbles last too. All you care about is rules, I told her. And bubbles, Jane said. Then Jane put 3 pieces of gum in her mouth. This time, I didn't wait around to watch her blow another perfect bubble. I decided to take a bubble break. What's wrong, Grace? Asked Tom. He's my big brother. Jane won't let me in her club. So what? He said. All they do is blow bubbles. I like bubbles, I said. What's so great about them? He asked. They're big and pink and they last, I explained. Not all bubbles are like that, replied Tom. I know, I said sadly. You know what's big and round and way more fun than a bubble? Asked Tom. A ball. He kicked a ball high into the air and it landed smack on the clubhouse roof. Cut it out, yelled Jane. Sorry, Jane, Tom said. Hey, how about a game of dodgeball? Dodgeball is boring, said Jane. Besides, your ball is flat. Then she put 4 pieces of gum in her mouth and blew a huge bubble. Want to help me pump? Tom asked. No thanks, I said glumly. Maybe lemonade will cheer you up, he said. I was so thirsty, I drank a whole cup in one gulp. Don't drink it too fast, Grace, or you'll burp. Excuse me, I said. We started laughing. Perps are funny, I said. You know what else they are, said Tom. Burps are bubbles. Really? Yep, air bubbles. Tom took a big gulp of lemonade and he burped too. Tom pumps air into the ball. The air spreads out and fills the space the same way air fills a bubble. Are burps bubbles? Yes. If you drink or eat too fast, you may swallow too much air. Pressure builds up in your stomach, and when the pressure gets too great, the air either goes up through your mouth, little by little at a time, or it pops out all at once as a burp. I burped again and again and again. Tom burped twice more. We couldn't stop laughing or burping. Let's have a contest to see who can burp the loudest, Tom said. Jane came out of her clubhouse. What's so funny? Burps, I said. Tom says they're bubbles. Grace likes my bubbles better than yours, said Tom. Oh, yeah, said Jane. Wait until she sees this one. Down here it says the Guinness World Records for the loudest burp is 118.1 decibels. That's about as loud as a car horn. Jane put 5 pieces of gum in her mouth. Watch this, she said. I don't think that's a good idea, said Tom. It's too much gum, I told her. But Jane didn't listen. Her bubble got big and huge and humongous and what do you think's gonna happen? Pop! The bubble burst all over Jane's face. Ha ha, laughed Tom. It's not funny, Jane said. I've got gum in my hair. What am I going to do? Just chop your hair off, Tom said. I'll get the scissors. No, cried Jane. Hold it, I said. I ran and got my book. It says here that peanut butter will get gum out of your hair, I said. Cool, said Tom. Can we put jelly in her hair too? Jane gave him a look. I opened the jar and got started. This is never going to work, said Jane. Sure it will, I told her, but I wasn't so sure it would work either. But guess what? The gum came out. Thanks, Grace, Jane said when I was done. Nice work, said Tom, but I'd still like to give her a haircut. We ignored him. Grace, Jane said, do you still want to be in the bubble club? Sure, I said, but I can't because of all your rules. Well, rules can change, said Jane. They can? I asked. Just wait and see. It says peanut butter to the rescue. So how does peanut butter get gum out of your hair? The oils in it soften the gum up so you can pull it right out with your fingers or a comb. This usually works, but not always. I like these rules much better, I said. But don't you think we need one more? You want another rule? Said Jane. Only one piece of gum at a time, I said. Good idea, said Jane, but I've only got one left anyway. Want half? Thanks, I said. I popped the gum in my mouth, then, without thinking, I stretched it over my tongue and blew a bubble. It wasn't the biggest, or the pinkest, or the longest lasting, but it was mine, all mine. And the new Bubble Club rules say any size, any kind, any color, any time. All right, and that is the end of our story, and they give us some suggestions of how we can think like a scientist, like Grace does. We're going to turn the page to finish the book, and it's going to give us some other books that we could read if we wanted to. But the really most exciting thing that we need to do today is we need to see if we can blow a bubble. Come on. Now, the kind of gum I have, this is the only kind at my house. It's a square minty kind, and it's not the best for blowing bubbles. So we'll see if it works. But the first step is to put it in your mouth and chew it up until it gets really soft. So if you have a piece of gum at home, pop it in. Lots and lots and lots of chewing. You want to come sit with me? Rory's going to see if she can blow a bubble with me. So we got to chew it up. And you can see there's still some hard pieces where it's not all soft yet, so I'm going to chew some more. I'm going to try really hard to show you how it works. So when it's all chewed up, you're going to stick it to the top of the roof of your mouth, and you're going to push it up there with your tongue until it's nice and flat. So you're going to take it, stick it to the, with your tongue. And you're going to stick it to the roof of your mouth and go, stick it up there. Get it nice and flat. Then we're going to move it down. We're going to put it between our top two teeth and our tongue like this. And you're going to stick your tongue out so it puts a hole. Then pull your tongue back and blow some air. We might be like Grace and just have spit bubbles. We'll try one more time. Chew. Wish we had some bubble gum, but we got to use what we got to make it flat.
So you could do it once.
Birdie, can you do a bubble with this gum? Family affair here for Bubble Day for Kinder.
Birdie, come in. He's going to do that.
Oh, almost.
One more time.
You try.
I can't do it.
Oh, I got a little one. If you can't do it the first time or the second time or the third time, you just have to keep practicing and get your mouth muscles really, really strong, and keeps you pretty quiet. And the classroom rules for the gum are it stays in your mouth. And normally Miss Petrick isn't allowed to see it or hear it if we have a gumball party or it ends up in the trash. But that's why this is a special day in kindergarten, because we get to practice blowing bubbles. And so one day we're allowed to blow them and pop them ourselves. Can you touch somebody else's gum? All right, one last try before we say goodbye.
No, Birdie needs to come in too.
Birdie's still chewing. Okay, one more time. One more time for you.
No, I need
All right.
to do
Well,
it.
we hope that you guys have fun exploring with lots of different bubbles today. Oh, there's Birdie's. And we would love to see pictures or videos of your guys' bubbles inside and outside. Bye.